In the heart of Colorado's jagged Rockies, where the snow fell like a vengeful shroud, Elena Ramirez gripped the steering wheel of her battered pickup truck, the wipers slapping futilely against the blizzard's fury. It was Christmas Eve, and the world had narrowed to a white void, her headlights carving fleeting tunnels through the chaos. At 42, Elena was no stranger to hardship, a hotel maid by day, single mother by night, scraping by in the tiny town of Silver Pines to keep a roof over her son Thomas's head. But tonight, as her truck skidded toward home, she spotted them, 15 shadowy figures huddled at the edge of the highway, their luxury bus marooned in a drift, its hazard lights pulsing like a dying heartbeat, suits rumpled, faces etched with unaccustomed fear. They were executives from some high-stakes summit in Denver, now just lost souls in the storm. Without a second thought, Elena rolled down her window, her voice cutting through the gale. "Get in, all of you. My place is a mile up. It's not much, but it's warm." As they piled in, coats shedding snow like defeated warriors, she wondered if kindness was just another word for foolishness. Little did she know it was the spark that would thaw more than the ice. Elena's cabin squatted at the town's frayed edge. A weathered A-frame her late husband had built with calloused hands before cancer claimed him 5 years prior. It smelled of pine and simmering pozole, the pot she'd left bubbling for Thomas, who was 12 and glued to his sketchpad by the fire. The boy looked up, wide-eyed, as the door burst open and 15 strangers tumbled in, stamping snow from Italian loafers onto the threadbare rug. "Mama?" Thomas whispered, but Elena shushed him with a smile, her dark eyes steady. "Room for company tonight, mijo. The storm doesn't care about wallets." She cleared the dining table of her meager Christmas spread, tortillas, beans, a single piñata strung from the rafter, and set about making space. The living room became a makeshift dormitory, air mattresses inflated with her ancient pump, blankets pilfered from the linen closet, the old couch commandeered for the eldest, a silver-haired man with a cough that rattled like loose change. These weren't ordinary travelers. Whispers among them revealed fortunes built on tech empires, real estate dynasties, venture capital that could buy small nations. But in her home, stripped of boardrooms and private jets, they were just men, vulnerable, chilled to the bone, their blackberries dead in the blackout. As the wind howled like a chorus of ghosts, Elena moved among them with the quiet grace of someone who'd long ago learned to give without tallying the cost. She ladled pozole into mismatched bowls, the steam rising like prayers, and shared stories to chase away the dark. Thomas, ever the artist, sketched caricatures on scrap paper, coaxing laughs from the group. A burly investor from Silicon Valley reduced to a walrus in mittens, a Wall Street shark with a comically oversized tie. One man, Victor Hale, the silver-haired CEO of a renewable energy firm, sat by the fire nursing his cough. He watched Elena as she knelt to stoke the flames, her hands scarred from years of scrubbing hotel suites for minimum wage. "You didn't have to do this," he said softly, his voice gravelly. "We could have waited for rescue." Elena shrugged, wiping soot from her cheek. "Waiting's for folks with time. Besides, Christmas is for strangers, isn't it? My husband used to say the real gifts aren't under the tree. They're the ones you carry inside." Victor's eyes, sharp from decades of closing deals, softened for the first time in memory. He thought of his own empty penthouse in New York, the holidays spent with catered silence, and wondered if he'd ever truly known warmth like this. The night deepened, and unexpected confessions unfurled like the aurora beyond the frosted windows. A young venture capitalist, slick-haired and tattooed under his cufflinks, admitted he'd built his app fortune on predatory loans that crushed dreamers like Elena. "I tell myself it's business," he muttered, staring into his empty bowl. "But seeing you, giving everything when you have nothing, it makes me feel like a thief." Elena listened without judgment, her hand on his shoulder. "We all steal a little, mijo. Time from family, chances from ourselves. But you can give it back. Start small, like helping Thomas with his drawings tomorrow." Laughter bubbled up then, tentative at first, then full-throated, as the group shared war stories not of mergers but of missed little leagues, forgotten birthdays. Thomas, perched on a stool, beamed as the men praised his sketches, one even promising, half-jokingly, to fund an art scholarship if they survived the night. But the profound turn came at midnight, when the power flickered back and Victor pulled Elena aside in the kitchen. "Your husband," he said, nodding to a faded photo on the fridge, two young lovers laughing in a summer meadow. "He sounds like a good man." Tears welled in Elena's eyes, unbidden. He taught me that love isn't hoarded. It spilled out, messy and all. Victor, who hadn't cried since his own father's funeral, felt a crack in his armored heart. In that moment, amid the clatter of spoons and the crackle of embers, he realized these 15 titans of industry weren't rescuing themselves. They were being rescued by a woman whose greatest asset was her unyielding belief in humanity's hidden gold. Dawn broke with a mercy the storm had withheld, sunlight splintering the icicles like shattered diamonds. The plows had cleared the roads by some miracle, and the millionaires prepared to depart, piling into Ubers summoned from the valley below. Hugs were exchanged, awkward at first, then fierce as phone numbers were swapped. Promises murmured of visits to Silver Pines. Elena waved from the porch, Thomas clutching a fistful of business cards like talismans, her heart full yet aching with the quiet after a party's roar. "Drive safe," she called, her voice steady despite the lump in her throat. They nodded, piling in, the bus long gone but their gratitude etched in every glance. She turned back inside, already tallying the cleanup, the extra mouths that had emptied her pantry but filled her home with echoes of joy. It was just another day in Silver Pines, she told herself. Kindness given, no strings attached. But as noon crested, a low rumble swelled from the highway, growing into a symphony of engines that shook the cabin's windows. Elena stepped out, shading her eyes against the glare, and gasped. There, snaking up her gravel drive like a gleaming serpent, was a convoy unlike anything Silver Pines had ever seen. 135 cars, a parade of luxury sedans, SUVs gleaming in obsidian and pearl, even a few electric prototypes from Victor's fleet. They stretched for a quarter mile, drivers in crisp uniforms stepping out to form lines, hoods popped like offerings at an altar. At the forefront stood Victor, flanked by the others, their faces alight with something fiercer than wealth. Purpose. "Elena," he said, striding forward, a key fob dangling from his hand, "we talked all night. About you, about us, and we realized something. You've given us more than shelter. You've given us back our souls." He gestured to the vehicles, not gifts for her alone, but a fleet donated to the town, hybrid vans for the food bank, rugged trucks for the volunteer fire department, sleek sedans for families like hers, struggling through winters that bit too deep. "One for every soul you touched last night," the venture capitalist added, his voice thick. "And this one's yours." He pressed a key into Thomas's hand, a cherry-red coupe, safe and sensible, with a full tank and a note in the glove box. "For the roads ahead, from those you pulled from the cold." Tears streamed down Elena's face as the town gathered, whispers turning to cheers, neighbors emerging from cabins to witness the impossible. Children climbed into the new wheels, elders tested heated seats, and Silver Pines, long a place of quiet endurance, bloomed with possibility. Victor pulled her aside one last time, his cough forgotten in the crisp air. "You showed us, Elena, that true power isn't in boardrooms or bank accounts. It's in opening your door when the world shuts its own. We've all pledged more. Scholarships for kids like Thomas, grants for single moms starting over. But this is just the drive home." She hugged him then, fiercely, the snow crunching under their boots, and in that embrace the transformative wave crested. Not just cars, but a ripple of generosity that would warm Silver Pines for generations, proving that one selfless night could shift the stars. As the convoy dispersed, engines humming hymns of hope, Elena stood with Thomas on the porch, the coupe's keys warm in his palm. The Rockies loomed eternal, but for the first time they felt like allies, not adversaries. In a world quick to hoard and harden, Elena's story whispered a timeless truth. Kindness is the ultimate currency, multiplied not by banks but by hearts. It returns not in measure but in miracles, 135 strong, gleaming, and ready to carry us all forward. And so under that vast, forgiving sky she smiled, knowing the real storm had passed long before the plows arrived.